The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Michael Chen stood from his seat, his expression unreadable. Around him, representatives from 47 species watched with varying degrees of concern, curiosity, and in some cases, barely concealed amusement. Ambassador Chen, the Vextari Council leader, chittered through his translation implant, his mandibles clicking with what passed for condescension among his kind. "We have heard your concerns about the Krithax incursion into the neutral zones. However, the Council has voted. We will not intervene militarily. The situation requires diplomacy, not human impulsiveness." Michael's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Around the circular chamber, several of the more experienced diplomats noticed the subtle shift in his posture. The Tailkari ambassador actually leaned back in her seat, her triple-lidded eyes widening. "I see," Michael said quietly. "Then humanity will handle this ourselves." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Within moments of those words leaving Michael's lips, the Vextari security chief was frantically accessing his datapad. The Tailkari ambassador had already triggered a priority alert to her homeworld. Even the usually stoic Granite Confederation representatives began murmuring among themselves, in their resonant, stone-grinding language. "Ambassador Chen, perhaps we should discuss," the council leader began. "No need," Michael interrupted, his voice perfectly polite, perfectly calm. "You've made your position clear. We'll take it from here." He walked out of the chamber without another word. Across the galaxy, alarms began to sound. Linda Rodriguez, captain of the human dreadnought Defiant Spirit, received the encrypted message while her ship was on patrol near the Orion Spur. She read it twice, then looked up at her executive officer with a grim smile. "Pull us back to the rally point," she ordered, "and send word to the fleet. We're going to need everyone, all of them, Captain. Every single one, within 6 hours." The largest human military mobilization since the Unification Wars was underway. Ships that had been scattered across human space for the past decade began converging on designated coordinates. Crews that had been on shore leave were recalled. Mothballed vessels were being pulled from reserve fleets and recommissioned at a pace that terrified the Galactic Council's military observers. The other species watched with growing alarm. Why are they mobilizing their entire fleet? The Zephan High Command demanded of their intelligence analysts. The Krithax have only taken 3 minor systems. "Sir," the analyst replied, her voice shaking slightly, "when humans say they'll handle something, they don't mean proportional response. They mean complete resolution." The Zephan immediately began reinforcing their border defenses. Despite being nowhere near human space or the Krithax incursion, the Krithax Swarm Lord received the intelligence reports with what his species considered amusement. Humanity was mobilizing against him, the species that had only joined the galactic community 40 standard cycles ago, the ones who had avoided every major conflict through diplomatic maneuvering. "Let them come," he broadcasted to his fleet commanders. "We shall consume their ships as we have consumed 1,000. His strategist interrupted, something that would normally result in immediate execution. "Swarm Lord, you need to see this." The tactical display showed something unprecedented. Humanity wasn't just mobilizing warships. They had somehow, in less than a standard day, organized a logistics chain that spanned 14 systems. Supply depots were being established. Civilian shipyards had converted to military production. Intelligence even suggested they had activated some kind of reserve force that had been hidden from galactic records. "How many ships?" the Swarm Lord demanded. "Current count is 3,247, Swarm Lord. But the number keeps increasing." The Swarm Lord's confidence wavered. His invasion fleet numbered 800 vessels, which had been more than sufficient for every conflict in recent memory. "And Swarm Lord," the strategist continued, its voice shaking, "they're not just mobilizing their military. Every major human corporation has pledged assets. They're treating this as an existential threat. Our xenology experts say there's a human phrase, going to war. This is what it looks like." Captain Linda Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Defiant Spirit, now the flagship of the largest human fleet ever assembled. Around her, holographic displays showed the assembled Armada 4,000. 112 vessels, and more arriving every hour. "Captain," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving messages from the Galactic Council. They're begging us to stand down. They say they'll handle the Krithax situation." Linda's expression didn't change. "Tell them we appreciate their concern, but humanity has already committed to handling this." "Ma'am, the Talkari Federation is offering military support. So are the Granite Confederation and even the Vextari Hegemony. How generous of them," Linda said dryly. After voting against intervention 6 hours ago, across the fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Human commanders, many of whom had never seen combat, were discovering something their species had known, but the galaxy had forgotten. When humanity decides to handle something, they don't do it halfway. The mobilization itself had become a weapon. Every species in the galaxy was watching, calculating, reassessing their understanding of humanity. These weren't the diplomatic, commerce-focused newcomers they'd categorized. This was something older, something that had been kept carefully hidden beneath layers of politeness and trade agreements. Ambassador Michael was in the command center when the Galactic Council sent their third emergency communication in as many hours. "Ambassador, please," the council leader pleaded. "The Krithax have agreed to withdraw. They're already pulling back from the neutral zones. There's no need for military action." Michael studied the tactical display showing the Krithax fleet in full retreat, their ships frantically jumping to hyperspace ahead of the approaching human armada. "That's excellent news, Council Leader," Michael replied. "But humanity is already committed to handling this. We'll proceed to the Krithax home systems and ensure they understand that neutral zones mean neutral." "You can't invade, we're not invading," Michael corrected. "We're handling it. There's a difference." He paused, then added, "Perhaps next time the Council should consider human concerns before they escalate to this point." "We did ask nicely first." The transmission ended. Captain Linda watched as the human fleet continued its inexorable advance, knowing they would never actually reach Krithax space. The Swarm Lord would capitulate completely within hours, offering reparations and guarantees that would satisfy even the most hawkish human admiral. But the galaxy had learned something important. When humanity said, "Fine, we'll handle it," every major power started preparing for the worst. Because humans didn't just solve problems, they made sure those problems never happened again. And that terrified everyone far more than any weapon ever could.